Hey guys! So let's get into this natural glam makeup tutorial on this beautiful client of mine. She was going to a birthday party event and she wanted something super soft, super natural, and that's what we did. So of course, starting off with skin prep, I'm using my micellar water to go ahead and clean and prep her skin. And after we go ahead and get every inch of her face, we're gonna go in with our Pond's. You cannot skip the skin prep process when it comes to your makeup application because it really is the foundation for how well your base is going to apply. You want to have a glow after you apply your moisturizer, like just how glowy her face looks and very moisturized and very dewy. That's what we're going for before we apply all of those cream and powder products. We want a moisturized base. Before I start brows, I do remove the moisturizer from the brows that may have gotten on there before I apply my Brow Freeze Gel by Anastasia Beverly Hills, just to give it a blank slate, and then going in with that product and coating every brow hair. You want to rub that product back and forth and get everything coated before you flatten it out and shape it up. I also let that product dry down for about 1 minute before I go in and apply my brow pomade. I am using my e.l.f. brow pomade in the shade Expresso to shape and define my client's brow. And for a natural glam, I just follow the client's natural brow shape to do that, filling in only the outer part of the brow with the pomade. To ensure that the brows stay in place, I like to set them using my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder and using a fluffy or dense brush to pack that product right into the brow. I like to press it into the brow so that way it can set every inch of it. And then going in with my Morphe micro brow pencil to fill in the inner part of the brow, and then also going over the remainder part of the brow to remove the rest of the setting powder. And then using the spoolie side of the micro brow pencil to blend out the front part of the brow as well, just so you can get it as natural as possible. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealers to clean up and conceal underneath the eyes, as well as getting the eyelid base ready for the eyeshadow look. For a natural glam, the eyeshadow look is super simple. You're pretty much using one soft brown or brown shade on the lid. So for this look, I am using the Butterscotch shade and getting that blended all out on her lid, so that way we can have a clean and smooth base for our eyeshadow. And as you can see, I'm using those light tapping circular motions to blend out the concealer because I don't want to remove any product. I want to make sure I keep all of the product on the lid, but gently tapping to blend it out. Then going in with the Beauty Blender to smooth out any inconsistencies in the lid. Using my Golden Hour eyeshadow palette by ColourPop, I'm going in with this brown shade here and just packing it all on the lid. Because I like a smooth transition, I like to take my time and build that color up and work my way from the outer part of the eyelid to the inner part of the eyelid. And if you've made it this far in the video, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you do not miss any more makeup tutorials or creative makeup looks that I do. And don't forget to show some love in the comments, drop a couple hearts below, and if you have any makeup questions or tips that you'd like to share, don't forget to include those as well. Using my NYX Epic Wear eyeliner in the shade Black to go ahead and create those sharp, clean lines. I love this eyeliner because of the precision. But if you're a new makeup artist or an aspiring makeup artist, if I had any advice for you when applying eyeliner, especially a liquid liner, you have to talk your clients through this step. Sometimes I would forget to let them know to keep their lid closed until it dries, and once they open it, it'll ruin everything. So letting them know, hey, keep this closed until it dries, It really helps you in the long run, so learn from my mistakes. This next step is super essential. You want to measure out your strip lashes before you apply them. So I like to measure them out and cut them and apply the glue so they can dry while I go in and prep my client's skin with a primer. I'm going in with my e.l.f. Power Grip Matte Primer because I really want to make sure she has a really great grip and a very matte base, and this is the perfect primer for that. So I mixed 2 foundation shades to achieve this flawless base. I'm using NARS Macao and my Fit Me Maybelline in the shade 338. I will be dropping all the products in the description for you guys to see, but packing that on with a brush first, you really just want to get the product on her face. Then I'm going in with a damp beauty blender to blend everything out so it can just melt flawlessly into her skin. As you can see, this base really blended out well, but taking your time and doing those gentle tapping motions, you really want to make sure you keep the coverage. And by keeping the coverage, using those light motions to blend everything out helps you do that. One thing about foundation it is very buildable. So I did go back in and build up a few more areas that needed a little bit more coverage. And always make sure you have your client look up or stretch underneath when blending out underneath that eye, because we want to make sure we don't have any creases underneath the eye, especially when we get ready to set that area. Now using my Butterscotch Too Faced Born This Way concealer to conceal underneath her eyes and brighten up her T-zone area. This part here is where you need to allow the concealer to sit for a few minutes and dry down before you blend it out. Although this is a natural glam, this is very much full coverage natural glam. Using my Made by Mitchell curve case, this is the medium curve case, to contour my client's face. I am contouring all around her forehead areas, right underneath her cheekbones and underneath her jawline to bring depth into her face. And then using a smaller brush to contour her nose. Then setting her face with the e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray before blending out the concealers. That would have been just enough time to let that sit, so when you blend it out, everything will blend out seamlessly. And still using those small circular tapping motions to get that blended out. I like to use a fluffy concealer brush when blending out my concealer because it really is the best tool to achieve a full coverage under eye. And then smoothing out any harsh edges with that damp beauty blender. And using the same curve case by Made by Mitchell, there's that beautiful pink blush shade, and placing that right on her cheekbones just to give a very lifted look. And here I'm just smoothing out any other imperfections that I see before I set my base. I like everything to be blended out perfectly before we go in with all of our baking powders and finishing powders. Using my Matte and Poreless Fit Me foundation to press and set in underneath her eyes. This part is super essential because this helps set the tone for that smooth under eye. You want to set that area before you go in and bake anything. As you can see, I'm really pressing that product in on her chin and forehead area just to ensure longevity. And now it's time to apply the lashes. Those lashes have set and dried in more than enough time, so they applied perfectly. They got on there, stuck, and we moved right on to baking. Using my one size setting powder in the shade Sweet Honey to bake in underneath her eyes and chisel up her cheekbone. Just to really make sure everything is set and sharp. I love a clean, sharp look. Then going in with my Black Radiance contour palette to contour and bronze, to bronze up her face in those areas that I did use that cream contour, just to kind of set those areas as well. So while I let the baking powder sit a little bit longer underneath her eyes, that's when I go in to do the client's lip combo. I'm using my MAC lip liner in the shade Chestnut to line her lips, and then going in with a liquid matte lipstick by Morphe and patting that on with a brush. I usually use a lip applicator to apply the liquid lipstick, but I am currently out waiting on the new order to come in, but a brush works perfectly fine. I like to let the liquid lipstick sit for a little bit and dry down before I add the gloss. I go ahead and dust off that baking powder while I let that dry down. Dusting off the baking powder, I'm using my Sephora Micro Smooth Finishing Powder to do that. I love how it really gives you that really clean airbrushed look once you dust that off. And it's just super smooth. It really is super, super smooth. And then using a powder blush to really bring in more of that color as well. After using all of your powders and pressed powders, you want to bring the moisture back into your face. So using my Morphe Continuing Mist setting spray to do that, and pressing that setting spray into the skin with a damp beauty blender so that way it really can absorb. Now it's time to go in and apply that gloss using again a brush to apply a sheer coat of gloss to really just bring the lip combo together. And in that same Black Radiance contour palette, there's a very beautiful highlighter shade that I'm using to highlight her high points, which is her nose, the bridge of her nose, the tip of her nose, cheekbones, and her Cupid's bow. I like to do the waterline and smoke out the lower lash line. And once I do that, we do our final spray using our Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish, because that is exactly what we have, a flawless finish. Like, her base was beautiful, the eye look was beautiful, super natural, super clean. It's a look that you can wear any day, every day, dress it up, dress it down. It was just the perfect look. Very beginner friendly, and you can achieve this same look using the very same products. Drop a comment below if you like how this look turned out, and we're going to show you the client's reaction at the end. Take a look at it. Let me know if there's anything that you want to change. That blush really just added, girl. It just added a.
And you wasn't about to put
I
it.
sure wasn't. I couldn't remember. I Let me put, she won't blush.
Because I do blush even if I do my own makeup. It just always brings a person's face.
It does. It really.